Welcome back to YT Police Chase. Buckle up because what you're about to watch are real chases, only speed, split-second decisions, and irreversible consequences. If you're ready for a breathtaking journey until the very last second, let's begin now. On May 26, 2024, in Rochester, Minnesota, what began as a routine traffic stop quickly escalated when Minnesota State Patrol attempted to pull over a vehicle that refused to comply. Instead of stopping, the driver, later identified as Jose Luis Delgado Jr., accelerated, turning a simple stop into an active pursuit through city streets. The situation intensified rapidly. The suspect pushed speeds toward 100 miles per hour, weaving through residential areas before breaking out onto larger roads, including North Broadway. Every turn became more aggressive, every lane change more dangerous. Troopers maintained tight pursuit, tracking the vehicle through mixed traffic conditions while waiting for the right moment to intervene. At this point, it was no longer just a fleeing driver, it was a high-risk situation unfolding in real time, with public safety hanging in the balance. The moment finally arrived. When conditions permitted, the police performed a controlled PIT, impacting the rear of the vehicle. The car immediately spun around and lost all momentum. In just seconds, the vehicle came to a complete stop, ending the chase before it escalated further. Police quickly moved in, weapons at hand, ordering the driver and passengers to raise their hands. The driver was subdued and arrested, while the passengers were safely evacuated. Delgado Jr. subsequently faced multiple charges, including fleeing from police, using a stolen vehicle, reckless driving, and providing false information. The initial decision not to stop led to his arrest and conviction, further demonstrating that fleeing the scene doesn't change the outcome but only exacerbates the consequences. On the 21st of September 2022, a patrol situation in Delaware County, Ohio, quickly escalated when officers spotted a silver sedan speeding away. The chase began near Tanger Outlets, when the suspect failed to stop and sped into surrounding streets and parking lots. The situation intensified almost immediately. The driver cut through crowded parking lots, ignoring traffic signals and forcing other vehicles to react at the last second. The chase moved between commercial zones and nearby roadways, with officers staying close behind and continuously updating positions over the radio. At times, the suspect drove onto sidewalks and grassy medians to bypass obstacles, showing a complete disregard for safety. As the pursuit continued, the vehicle began to show signs of damage, scraping barriers and struggling under the stress, yet the driver kept going. Every turn increased the risk, every second tightened the pressure. The chase came to a sudden and chaotic end at a Circle K gas station in the Polaris area. In a final attempt to escape, the suspect drove directly into the fueling area, but a patrol unit moved in and delivered a decisive impact. The collision forced the silver sedan into a red SUV and another vehicle, bringing the pursuit to an immediate stop as smoke began pouring from the damaged engine. Officers rushed in, surrounding the vehicle with weapons drawn and ordering the driver to exit. Within moments, the male suspect was taken into custody as the scene filled with smoke and debris. The area was secured for investigation, and despite the violent ending, no serious injuries were reported to bystanders. What began as a fleeing vehicle through parking lots ended in a high-risk crash, another reminder that reckless decisions don't create escape routes. They lead directly to consequences. What started as a routine attempt to stop a suspicious vehicle in Brown Deer quickly escalated when the driver refused to comply. Under wet and slippery road conditions, officers activated lights and sirens, but instead of pulling over, the suspect accelerated, turning a simple stop into an active pursuit. The situation intensified almost immediately. The vehicle weaved aggressively through city streets, running red lights and even entering oncoming lanes to escape. Rain-slick roads reduced traction, increasing the risk with every turn and every sudden maneuver. Officers stayed close behind, maintaining pressure despite the hazardous conditions. Every second mattered, and every move from the suspect made the situation more unstable and unpredictable. The chase reached its breaking point when the driver lost control. On the slick roadway, the vehicle spun out, collided with the roadside, and rolled over violently, coming to rest on its side. In an instant, the pursuit that had built-in tension ended in a single, uncontrolled moment. Officers rushed in immediately, approaching the wreck with weapons drawn and ordering the occupants to show their hands. Within seconds, the suspects were taken into custody at the scene. What began as a routine stop in poor weather conditions ended in a rollover crash, proving that when speed, panic, and bad decisions combine, control is lost in an instant, and the outcome is never what the driver expects. What began as a routine attempt to stop a vehicle in Noonan, Georgia, quickly escalated when officers tried to pull over a black Mercedes on Jefferson Street. Instead of complying, the driver accelerated, turning a simple traffic stop into a high-speed pursuit. The situation intensified almost immediately. The Mercedes pushed speeds between 75 and over 100 miles per hour, weaving through traffic along double yellow lines and overtaking vehicles in dangerous conditions. At times, the driver even crossed into oncoming lanes, traveling against traffic while continuing southbound. The risk quickly grew beyond control. Recognizing the danger to the public, officers made the call to temporarily disengage, shifting strategy from direct pursuit to containment. Moments later, the vehicle was located again, hidden within a parking lot, attempting to avoid detection. With Georgia State Patrol now assisting, the situation moved into its final phase. Troopers repositioned and executed a precise pit maneuver, striking the rear of the Mercedes and forcing it into a controlled spin. Within seconds, the vehicle came to a stop, ending a pursuit that had moved from open roads to a controlled takedown. Officers immediately moved in, surrounding the vehicle and taking the driver into custody without further resistance. What started as a routine stop escalated into a dangerous high-speed run through city streets, proving that even when a suspect thinks they've escaped, control is only delayed, never avoided. On March 17, 2024, at approximately 3:41 a.m., officers received an alert from an automated license plate reader about a stolen Toyota traveling along Route 1. Moments later, an officer spotted the vehicle near Fairhaven Avenue. When he attempted to initiate a traffic stop, the driver made an immediate decision. He accelerated and fled northbound. The pursuit escalated rapidly. The suspect drove aggressively, making illegal U-turns and attempting to reverse direction toward Maryland. As the chase moved onto Interstate 495 and later I-95, speeds climbed past 100 miles per hour. The situation quickly turned violent. The driver repeatedly rammed patrol units, striking them multiple times in an effort to break through rolling roadblocks. At one point, he forced officers off the roadway and past civilian vehicles on the shoulder, creating an extremely dangerous and unpredictable environment. With the threat level rising, officers coordinated across multiple units, shifting from containment tactics to preparing for a decisive intervention. That moment came on Interstate 95. A trooper moved into position and executed a high-speed PIT maneuver. The first impact sent the Toyota spinning into the concrete barrier, but the driver attempted to continue. A second pit followed immediately, forcing the vehicle violently into the wall again. This time, the car came to a complete stop, ending the pursuit in a crash that left the vehicle heavily damaged. Officers rushed in as the driver fled on foot. A short foot pursuit followed, and the suspect, later identified as Reggie Philip White, was taken into custody. 2 additional passengers also attempted to flee but were quickly located and arrested with aerial support from Fairfax County Police. White now faces multiple felony charges, including grand theft auto, felony eluding, multiple counts of assault on law enforcement, and hit-and-run offenses. What began as a stolen vehicle alert turned into a violent, multi-phase pursuit, proving that escalation doesn't create escape. It only leads to a harder stop.
We're good. Yeah. Let the driver go to the car. Oh, got popped handy. Oh.
On September 24, 2023, what began as a stolen vehicle report in Florida quickly escalated into a high-speed pursuit when Florida Highway Patrol located a black SUV traveling along Interstate 75. When troopers attempted to initiate a stop, the driver, one of two teenagers inside, refused to comply and accelerated into traffic. The situation intensified rapidly. The stolen SUV weaved aggressively through dense highway traffic at high speeds, cutting between vehicles and pushing the limits of control. During the chase, the vehicle collided with at least one civilian car, sustaining front-end damage but continued without slowing down. At one point, the driver crossed into oncoming lanes, creating an immediate life-threatening situation for everyone on the road. Troopers maintained pursuit, waiting for the right opportunity to intervene while minimizing risk to the public. That opportunity finally came. A Florida Highway Patrol trooper executed a precise PIT maneuver, striking the rear of the SUV. The impact caused the vehicle to spin out uncontrollably and slide toward the median, where it came to a stop. Within seconds, officers surrounded the vehicle with weapons drawn, ordering both occupants to show their hands. The two teenage suspects were taken into custody at the scene, one visibly panicked as he was handcuffed. What started as an opportunistic theft ended in a high-risk pursuit, proving that a single reckless decision can spiral into consequences far beyond control. At 11:41 a.m. on the 10th of July, 2025, a routine patrol situation on a Florida highway quickly escalated when a black car suddenly sped past a police car at extremely high speed. In seconds, lights and sirens were on, but the driver made the clear decision not to stop. The situation intensified immediately. The suspect pushed speeds up to 135 miles per hour, weaving aggressively through traffic and changing lanes without warning. At those speeds, every move carried serious risk, not just for the driver, but for every vehicle on the road. Troopers stayed locked in pursuit, carefully managing distance while waiting for the right moment. This was no longer just a traffic violation, it had become a high-speed threat unfolding in real time. That moment came when the roadway opened just enough. A trooper moved into position and executed a decisive pit maneuver. The impact sent the vehicle spinning violently across lanes before slamming into the concrete median. In seconds, the pursuit ended in a controlled but forceful stop. The driver attempted to flee on foot but was quickly subdued and apprehended on the ground. The suspect was identified as Darius Lowe, and the vehicle contained marijuana, fentanyl, and nearly $4,000 in cash. What began as a routine patrol in Brown County, Wisconsin, quickly escalated when deputies attempted to stop a vehicle that refused to comply. Instead of pulling over, the driver, a female suspect, continued moving, turning a standard traffic stop into a prolonged pursuit across multiple areas. What began as a routine patrol in Brown County, Wisconsin, quickly escalated when deputies attempted to stop a vehicle that refused to comply. Instead of pulling over, the driver, a female suspect, continued moving, turning a standard traffic stop into a prolonged pursuit across multiple areas. After a sustained effort, deputies finally brought the situation under control. The vehicle was successfully stopped, ending the pursuit without a major collision. Compared to high-speed crashes, this ending came through persistence and coordination rather than a single decisive impact. The female driver was taken into custody, and officers began assessing the situation further. Authorities noted concerns related to the suspect's mental health, which became an important factor in how the situation was handled after the arrest. Traffic control and scene management followed to ensure safety for everyone involved. What began as a refusal to stop didn't end in chaos, but it still required time, coordination, and control to resolve. Sometimes the most dangerous pursuits aren't the fastest, but the ones that slowly drift out of control. On May 16, 2016, in Idaho, what began as a law enforcement attempt to stop a suspect quickly escalated into a high-risk pursuit. Officers identified a black pickup truck driven by murder suspect Michael Angelo Miera. The moment they attempted to initiate a stop, he made his decision, he accelerated and fled. The situation spiraled almost instantly. Miera drove aggressively through residential streets and narrow roadways, pushing speeds over 100 miles per hour. He weaved through traffic, drove into oncoming lanes, and even cut across grassy areas in an attempt to escape. But the danger escalated further. At one point, Miera deliberately struck a police officer who was positioned ahead, causing severe injury and breaking the officer's leg. From that moment on, the pursuit was no longer just dangerous, it had become violent.
Okay, let's drop down here, sir. Affirmative, sounds like one of the spike coast, answer, 9-5. No, he's down on Civic. Okay, Bryce, we take him out. You can, get a one officer, he's aiming at us. I can take him out on Civic. He's gonna go through the barricade. Okay. Hold on. Continue east. Okay, we just left the roadway, we're still eastbound. Roger. Try to stop it before we get to the crowd here. Code 129, you closer, do you have an eye on that? Affirmative. I think it's 129 right now. Out of the way! 129, our involvement's your call at this point, let us know. 10-4.
The chase pushed toward its breaking point when Miera turned into a dead-end area. After forcing his way past barriers, he lost control of the vehicle. The truck veered off the roadway and crashed into a drainage canal, ending the pursuit in a chaotic and sudden stop. He was later sentenced to 27 years in prison for murder, along with numerous other charges related to the pursuit and assault of police officers. What began as a routine highway observation in central Georgia quickly escalated when a silver sedan was spotted moving at extreme speed on the interstate. Within moments, officers initiated a pursuit, but the driver made one thing clear: he had no intention of stopping. The situation escalated into a full-scale, high-speed chase. The suspect pushed speeds up to 140 miles per hour, weaving through traffic and forcing vehicles to react instantly to avoid collisions. At those speeds, even the smallest mistake could have turned into a catastrophic crash. Multiple units joined the pursuit, coordinating positions and maintaining pressure as the sedan continued its reckless run across miles of highway. Despite the heavy traffic, the driver kept pushing forward, committed to escape, no matter the risk. The pursuit reached its breaking point as officers began closing in. With limited options ahead, possibly due to traffic, construction barriers, or loss of control, the suspect vehicle was finally forced to stop. After miles of speed and chaos, the chase ended not with a dramatic spin, but with the suspect losing the ability to continue. Officers immediately surrounded the vehicle with weapons drawn, ordering the occupants to show their hands. Within seconds, the suspects were taken into custody under full control. What began as a high-speed run across the interstate ended in arrest, proving that no matter how fast you go, the outcome doesn't change, only the risk along the way.